Let me tell you about the time I found myself at war. Not with a neighbor, not with a thief, but with a woman who treated our homeowners association like her personal kingdom. It all started when I parked my work truck, a big, beautiful, legally registered Ford F-450, in the two parking spaces assigned to my unit. Mind you, these weren't guest spots, weren't reserved for lawn gnomes, and I wasn't blocking anyone. But to one woman, that truck was an act of war. Her name? Madison Caldwell. Retired city code inspector, HOA board member, and self-declared guardian of aesthetic purity. At first, it was almost funny. I came out one morning to a handwritten note taped, aggressively, to my windshield. It read, "Please relocate your vehicle. It violates community standards of harmony and visual cohesion." Harmony and visual cohesion. That's how I knew I was dealing with a full-blown HOA Karen in a cardigan. I brushed it off, until a second note appeared the next day, this time duct-taped to my driver's mirror like a ransom demand. By day 3, she escalated. A fake citation was printed and stuck under my wiper, threatening a $100 fine for vehicular incongruity. It had a knockoff seal from the Department of Neighborhood Preservation. I Googled it. Yeah, not real. So, I ran into her at the mailboxes. She looked at my truck like it had personally offended her azaleas. "You should be grateful we even let you live here with that machine," she sniffed. I told her calmly, "I have 2 assigned spaces. I'm within every rule." She didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter," she snapped. "It's disruptive. It sends the wrong message about our neighborhood." That's when I realized this wasn't about a truck. It was about control. Within a week, she rallied 3 other board members, mostly retirees who seemed more interested in gossip than governance, and tried to pass a temporary vehicle size review policy. At the next HOA meeting, she showed up with a slideshow titled "Neighborhood Menace: How Oversized Vehicles Threaten Suburban Stability." One slide compared my F-450 to a garbage barge. Another had a Godzilla clip art for dramatic effect. The motion failed, barely. Turns out the treasurer's daughter drove a lifted Jeep, and the secretary owned a landscaping van. But Madison wasn't deterred. The next morning, there were orange cones behind my truck. A sign taped to them read, "Pending relocation review. Do not move." It was staged like a construction zone. No approval. No notice. Just theater. I called property management. They had no idea what she was doing. But no one removed the cones. By Thursday, things turned downright unhinged. I came home to find chalk outlines around my tires, like my truck had committed a felony. Rick, my next-door neighbor, a retired data analyst with a sharp sense of humor, caught her on video crouching down, muttering about visual intrusion. I posted the clip to our community Facebook page. It got over 200 likes in a few hours. Caption: Madison Caldwell, defender of symmetry. And that's when her tactics shifted, from passive-aggressive to full-on HOA warfare. She started doing morning compliance patrols with a clipboard and a cup of decaf. Every day at 6:45 a.m. No kidding. Then came the fake towing notices. Then the HOA newsletter featured my truck in a community offenders column titled "When Vehicles Attack." She included a zoomed-in picture of my license plate and a poll. Should unsightly trucks be banned from residential view? That same week, I got a modification request letter demanding I submit a vehicular aesthetic adjustment plan. signed by something called the Provisional Committee on Vehicle Harmony, which, surprise, didn't exist. I replied with a crayon drawing of my truck with angel wings labeled the Saint of Hauling. She didn't laugh. Instead, she filed a motion to limit vehicle height and length on the property. I showed up to the meeting with a photo of her own son's massive Jeep, measured it, and declared, "If we're regulating size, this thing needs a pilot license." The room laughed. Madison turned red. So she pivoted. She contacted the city, claiming I was running a commercial business illegally from my driveway. The inspector showed up, saw nothing but Amazon packages, and left. Then she tried to rally the community, staging a protest in front of my truck with her self-appointed Community Appearance Task Force, wearing matching T-shirts that said, "Protect the Pavement." She even made a calendar of them standing around my truck and tried to sell it door to door. Spoiler, nobody bought it. The HOA finally snapped. Someone forwarded one of her fake HOA emails to the real property manager. Their reply? "Madison Caldwell does not have access to official communication systems. Please disregard her notices." I printed that response, framed it, and hung it in my garage, right next to my wrench set, and a folder I now called the Karen Files. But here's the kicker. Rick, the same neighbor, one day texted me, "You should see what's behind her backyard shed." Now, that's not something you just ignore. We posed as fixing his fence, peeked behind the lattice and ivy, and there it was. A full-on command center, surveillance antennas, old city code manuals, a sign, Caldwell Compliance Group, Est 2009. Turns out, Madison used to run a private code enforcement contractor firm for the city. She had been forced to resign years ago after an ethics scandal. Rick found the hearing documents online. She had falsified infractions for bonus pay. Everything clicked. This wasn't just pettiness. This was her empire, rising from the ashes. So I brought the receipts. At the next HOA meeting, right as she proposed a new motion to install more driveway cameras, I stepped forward. "This is why you don't have a badge anymore," I said, holding up the documents. Gasps, laughter. Someone dropped their coffee. She tried to lunge for the projector. Too late. Slide 2. A time-stamped ethics ruling with her name in bold. By the end of the night, the HOA voted to suspend her indefinitely, audit all citations she had ever issued, and cancel her ridiculous Protect the Pavement initiative. But it wasn't over. I filed a formal complaint with the city. Our neighborhood's insurance company found out she'd been impersonating an officer. The HOA banned all self-issued notices without approval. And, for the cherry on top, I organized a vehicle visibility parade. Every big truck, camper, ice cream van, and food cart in the neighborhood showed up. My F-450, center stage, wrapped in Christmas lights with a banner. Still legal, still parked, still glorious. Even the HOA president showed up with beer. Madison? She watched from behind closed curtains. Eventually, she tried to appeal her suspension, gave a dramatic speech about visual order and civil entropy. Someone in the audience shouted, "Ain't this the lady who cited a garden gnome for having bad vibes?" Laughter broke the room. Appeal denied. She was hit with a class action by 10 residents. Rick got certified just to serve her the papers. When he handed them over, he said, "From the Department of Consequences." She sold her house quietly a few months later, moved to a condo across town with no formal HOA. We checked their website. She's already listed as Property Aesthetics Liaison. Old habits die hard. As for us, Our HOA got a full makeover. Transparency, clear rules, zero clipboards. We even painted a mural on the community clubhouse featuring, yes, my truck under a cherry tree with birds and flowers. A bronze plaque underneath reads, "In memory of order, in celebration of freedom." And every time I park in my spot, I smile. Because that truck didn't just survive. It became the symbol of a neighborhood finally saying, enough. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with an out-of-control HOA board? Do you have a Madison in your neighborhood? Drop your story in the comments. We might feature it in the next episode. And if you're watching this with your truck parked proudly in 2 spots, hit that like button and subscribe. Because sometimes the most powerful rebellion is parking.